morning. This is the 60 Seconds to Serenity with Gregg Hammond on Thursday, January 17, 2018. Starting with a little bit of guitar music there this morning. Hopefully your week has been good. Hopefully you've been doing your 60 Seconds to Serenity exercises and improving your week and improving your day by using those tools, using the tools that I'm sharing here. Music is a very powerful tool. It is one of the most powerful things that you can add into your day because it is the universal language. Music is the universal language. And many times I add a little bit of music in here. We really focus on the tools and using your higher mental faculties with your breathing. But I've been adding in other things, and of course, music is one of those things that we have access to in a much different way than we used to. The information that we have now showing us just why music is so powerful is something that I'm very excited about. Every time I see more information come out, I'm very excited because I know it's coming. I know it's coming for people on an individual level, but also in medicine and in a global way. There's some pretty cool stuff coming. I showed this the other day from the Washington Post puts out a little paper around the Washington D.C. area, and it has interesting stuff. And usually it's a lot of negative news, right? And negative news gets stuck in your subconscious mind if you're not careful. If you're not careful to allow that type of thing to get in there. If you watch too much and sort of mindlessly keep the news on in the background, have the TV on in the background, or have it during your commute. If you have that running, that's what you're listening to in your subconscious, right? It's going into the back of your mind and it's getting stuck there. But good news like this, that music and the use of music in the application like medicine is becoming information that we are sharing more, right? It's getting out there. It's always been there. There's been a lot of research. It's not like it just suddenly was discovered. We know that every time you listen to music, you know it. You know that it's changing something, and it's one of those things that we use to pick ourselves up. Very powerful. Everybody has. Good morning. I see lots of people hopping on here. I see Don hopped on from Florida. Don hopped on from the UK. I see Carol's in Kentucky. Dan's up in New York. We have people all over the globe. And sometimes I can see who hopped on, sometimes I can't. So if you're here, say hello, and feel free to share this video anytime that you want to share these videos. I'm doing these as a way of giving back and building a better community by helping people on an individual level raise their vibration, maintain the vibration, and weed out all of those disempowering thoughts by planting seeds for very empowering thoughts, right? This is your brain on music. This book has been out for a while, and the author, Daniel Levitin, has a very interesting story about how he started off as a guitar player, seeking, to become a famous rock star sort of, story. And it's interesting how he's now at Stanford University and the head of the music department, the head of the brain department over there. I said it wrong. It's not brain department, but the neuroscience department in music, focusing on what music and what music does, how music does it, and why it's very important for us to be paying attention to this. So, I play lots of instruments, at least 15 different instruments, and I'm adding more often. Once you start to understand the way that music works, you can add in another instrument. Anybody who's been taking lessons with me for a while tends to ask that question if I haven't already suggested to them that you can pick up another instrument and become multi-instrument. I like teaching that. Get a little water. Remember to stay hydrated. So the power of music. More and more, the power of instruments. You should be adding an instrument. So that's a little bit of what today is about. Today's morning 60 seconds to Serenity, talking about the power of music and how you should add that into your life, and that science is showing that we're going to be using music as medicine and replacing the more common way that we try to fix things, ailments and disease. We've been using pharmaceuticals and other types of treatment, and now they're making it more well known that you can actually use music and you can use sound to shift to good health, right? Out of dis-ease into being healthy and at ease. So music is on my list all the time, in my mental list of things that I'm grateful for. We're making our lists of 10 things each morning that you're grateful for, right? You write out the thing on your list, and as you write those, people, places, experiences, food, all the different things that you're grateful for, as you write those out and you make your list, the idea is to sit there and with your list and focus on each one for just a little bit. Think about what it is about that. Hammond Healing Arts Center is a big project of mine to have a music center that provides instruments and lessons and space, safe space for people who don't normally have access, and also in conjunction to just the music part, art classes, painting classes, sculpture classes, all of the different types of art. We're having all of those in the same building. So that's something I'm working on. So I'm having gratitude for the process of planning that, and then I'm also seeing that in my mind's eye. I'm using my imagination, the higher faculty of my imagination, to zero in on something. So what is that big thing that you want, right? We have been working on lists, right? Making a list of the top 100 things that you would like to accomplish or do in life. And it is a life list. What are the things in life that you want to experience, to be able to go and do, or to have in your life on a daily basis? What are those things? You're making that list, top 100 things. Some people may have passed, maybe you're doing this all the time and you've been tuning in and you're focusing on this, and you're going down the list and you're well beyond 100. Maybe you've just got 20 things because your mind has just started to turn the wheels about this. And part of it is understanding that you should be dreaming very big, and thinking keeping as you get into a high vibration, and stay in a high vibration up here through the 60 seconds to Serenity tools with the slow, calm breath and all of these positive affirmations, to get yourself into that calm, serene mind where you respond to things. As you do this, you start to open up. It's exercise for your brain, and you start to open up the inner part of your mind, the imagination, right? And that, for you, that will open up, allowing the allowing in yourself, right, of your mind to harness those things and get you to write it down on the paper. Where it comes in, you can take it from your mind and write it onto the page. And that's a very powerful thing, is the writing. That's been part of this 60 Seconds to Serenity, is to write often, daily, and different types. We're writing out the gratitude, we're writing out the non-dominant hand, tons of exercises there. And we've added in writing out this chapter, right? 2 pages. It will most likely take 2 pages to write out the Serenity chapter at the end of As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. So lots of writing. The thing that happens when you are physically holding a writing apparatus, pencil, pen, paintbrush, and you are putting on paper the goals that you have, the gratitude that you have, and the tracking we've been doing. We have the tracking exercise where your non-dominant hand, you're writing your name, and you're writing the day of the week, you're writing the number on the calendar, you're writing the month and the year, and you're writing sunrise, sunset, wind direction, temperature, and the humidity. And you're doing all of those things daily, hopefully, so that you are able to track what is happening right where you are, in your immediate area, right around you. What is happening with the times that the sun comes up and goes down for your horizon, right? And what happens with the temperature. That this is a small tracking exercise that has a very big result. You keep doing these small things. I've added lots of small things in here. These little things begin to add up. And as I've mentioned, it's a gardening analogy. We are preparing the soil through these, out of the fall in October when we started these 60 Seconds to Serenity exercises. All the way through the fall into the winter, we've prepared this soil, and then we are planting seeds that will come up, sprout in the spring. Take a moment for gratitude of that. That is an amazing thing. Amazing what's going to happen as these weeks progress along. Now, if you keep yourself in this, higher mental faculty, using your higher mental faculty to keep yourself in a high vibration, you'll notice lots of things start to happen. It's just like, wow, that was kind of like a magic thing that happened, right? But it's because you're employing and exercising these things that I'm sharing with you. If you haven't seen some of the other videos, go back and watch them. I know they are, because they're daily, there might be some other posts that are there between these videos, but you can go back and watch them. You can scroll back through, and my team is putting together the video series for the YouTube, and I'll give you the link to that. Good morning. I see people hopping on here. Good morning, Jan. Good morning, Dawn. These stickers are some of the stickers that I've been telling you I'll mail out to you if you would like stickers. These are some new ones that I've got another batch, and so if you send me your address, I will mail those out. Stay hydrated. The idea of the water is that you continually take water in, because it's continually going out through all the things that you do in your day, and it's easy to forget. And so having a bottle of water around where you can keep an eye on it, like how much water did you consume. On some days, I realize that it's not been as much as I should have. So small amounts, right? This is about doing small amounts. In order to get to the point where you could do 50 push-ups without stopping, or 50 push-ups in a day, you know where it starts, right? with one push-up. And I was making the goal on my list. I put the goal on there to be able to do 50 push-ups without stopping. And I remember when as I set that goal, I had realized that I'd hit such a point of exhaustion physically because I had just pushed myself very hard. And the one push-up, or 5 push-ups, was challenging, but I realized that there was a power of the one push-up. And all you have to do is one push-up really well. And then that shifts what's happening in your imagination, what's happening in your higher faculties, and it's bringing your vibration up. Do one. If you like to do, or your goal is maybe a certain amount of squats, deep squats, or something like holding plank, which is like the push-up. I say one of those things is I like to put in the Gregg's garden of gratitude, right, is the gratitude, the plank and thank. The plank and thank. So you're doing the plank exercise and you are thinking of all of your gratitude list. And if you've been making these gratitude lists each day, or at least every few days, hopefully it's a daily thing that you have been adding in there, and you've got a notebook that is just for that, right? Where you've got days of gratitude. And sometimes you might repeat something on the gratitude list, but as you're doing that, your mind is thinking about what kind of things should I be putting on my list, on my gratitude list. And as you have created that list, then you can incorporate that into your plank and thank, where you're holding the plank position. And sometimes it's, the full plank is challenging. So you might do something where you're using your knees and your arms for that plank, and you're going through your gratitude list. And so as you are working on a physical level, you're tying in the gratitude there, right? And what the amazing thing about your mind is, as you start to let the wheels turn in your imagination and you're thinking about something you're grateful for, maybe it's a person or a place, maybe it's a place with a person that you think back, wow, how amazing, and it's just, that brings you up on a happy, smiling vibration, and you're able to hold that plank position, and or if you're doing push-ups, to extend that, your energy, the energy flows out of you, and you're able to sustain a plank, the plank position longer. And you're tying it in, right? So that the idea is that we've started with our breath because it's something that you have all the time. And then as you're tying in your gratitude with the plank, so you have a plank and thank, which comes out of the Gregg's garden of gratitude exercises, right? It ties in with the 60 seconds to Serenity. You then have the gratitude exercise that we've been working on running through your mind, right, as you're doing physical exercise. And so you're breathing, you're always doing that, and you're moving physically often. Hopefully you're incorporating more often, so that as you breathe and as you move physically, your brain is automatically triggered to go into thinking about the things that you're grateful for. We're putting these things onto autopilot, right? The idea is that we're putting them on autopilot. So if you haven't started your gratitude list, if you haven't been doing the non-dominant exercise, if you're just tuning in and you realize, oh, I haven't started any of these things, that's fantastic, because today's the first day that you could start to add these things in. And if you've been working on it and you feel like you've hit one of those potholes that we were talking about just a few days ago, if you fell into that pothole in the sidewalk and you're like, I started off really well and then stopped and got sidetracked, and maybe you got frustrated, maybe your brain started in the back of the mind, some voices, not yours, but some voices that in conversations where people are like, what's the point, what's the use anyway, or this always happens, or those types of things, right? Those are disempowering thoughts. We're talking about doing all these exercises to get them out of your mind because they get stuck in there. And it's not your fault. It's just that it's not your fault right now. And what can be your fault is that you have moved these out by using these exercises. These tools that I'm sharing have been so powerful for me over the years, and I have made it, anybody that has known me for anybody that knew me back before the turn of the century in the late 1900s, if you knew me then, you know that my life was very different. And I worked a job that I didn't like. I had really bad habits that I didn't like. And all of that was making life extremely difficult. And I was frustrated, and my mind was full of the conversations spinning around over and over from conversations from people. And when I was able to, I began identifying where the conversations were. I had a boss that I worked for who pulled me aside one day and said, "Look, this obsession with playing guitar and music, I mean, he said, listen to this." And he had me listen to Kenny Wayne Shepherd, and he said, "You hear that?" He said, "Can you play like that?" And I said, "Well, not right now." And he said, "That's not something you can work toward. You can't just get to that point. That's talent. And either you got it or you don't. And you need to focus on hard work, and you need to focus on being here in the job, right? And working on this. You have a opportunity to come up the ladder in the company." And like he was trying to do a good thing, but he was also crushing my dream of playing music and being a musician. That voice spun around like, I need to be realistic. I should be thinking in a adult-like way and focusing on that. And there was part of me that was believing that. There was another part of me that was saying, no, that you really can achieve anything that you want. It took the tools, and I'm sharing these tools with you. And now I'm rated #1 in Washington, D.C. for guitar lessons. I have gotten on stages that I've seen my biggest favorite bands play, right? I've gotten on the stage and played with musicians who are famous. I don't have to drop any names. If you have done any research on either from my books or from my websites or from knowing me, you know I have accomplished things that people only dream about, and I've just gotten started. And it has to do with the mindset. I mean, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and that is the really, really good news, right? Is that you can do that. You apply these tools. Maybe you've seen that, and so you like sharing some stuff in here too. And I love it when people share this video with their friends and focus on the good news. Your life just got a whole lot easier because you're using 60 Seconds to Serenity with Gregg Hammond, right? You're using these tools, the ones that I'm sharing with you. And when you do that, your life flashes into full color and it gets better. And amazing scenery, right? So, and this is where I focus. As I get to share this, I see this tropical scene. I like tropical scenes. I also like the deep woods where you can't see any horizon like this for a long time. So it's both. I like the two parts of that element, and they're both paradise. But it comes down to the fact that you have to realize that in your mind is this amazing power for imagination, and that you have the ability to use that imagination, your higher faculty, along with these tools of the 60 Seconds to Serenity, to get yourself into the point where you are living in paradise wherever you are, no matter where you go, no matter what you do. I need to hop off and do some writing and reading because it's part of my morning, and part of my day is to always study and to always go through and work on the exercises that I I'm working on and share them. Remember, you want to react to things in your day. I just realized that I just had this, it just hit me that before I hop off of here, I want to share the cool coin, right? And you can kind of see what it says there, right? It says, respond and you're in control, right? And then the other side says, react and you lose control, right? You give away your power. Don't do that, right? But I say that like it can be. Sometimes it's very challenging because of the circumstances that you have been reacting to are now all over happening, and you have to now respond to them, right? And the 60 Seconds to Serenity tools are set and given to you so that you can use that breathing and the focus, the affirmations, all of these tools, all of these things we've been doing since October. Using these will help you to be able to respond. And I shared this stone from the other day where it's rough side, very rough, bumpy side here, and this side is super smooth. Now what happened was this piece of stone was part of a big boulder, right? And another boulder came along in the creek, and it hit this at just the right spot. It hit it just the right spot, and this flake came off and then was being moved through the water. This side, the water had been working on over and over and over. The water was crossing this side of the stone. It was very smooth, and this side was what was inside. The inner part was still rough, and so to get from the rough part of the inner to the smooth side and a smooth element there, right? Feels so good. I love holding this rock. I was going to skip it, right? But then it occurred to me that there were so many elements of this, and I wanted to take it home, and it fits right in my hand like that, so I can hold it. So I hold this stone because it's cool and it feels so good. I hold this stone between my hands like this as I go through my gratitude list, and I think about things. And the idea of the 60 Seconds to Serenity tools is that I'm giving you all of these things to work on, from everything from your breathing to the physical activity that you do, and physical activities such as this, right? Things, you have all of these different things that you can do, so that as you do these things, you trigger the subconscious, the things that are going in your subconscious. You trigger the new things we put in there. And as this orbits, you think about the orbit of planets going around, right? It's the same as nucleus and atoms, and all of this big mystery can start coming together. But you think about it, as you are doing this, the orbit will continue, right? As you find that wow, I've been thinking the same, you may have discovered, wow, I'm thinking the same thing over and over. That person, the interaction I had with that person is, I'm feeling this particular emotion over it and frustrated with that situation or whatever. And as that spins around in your mind, it just keeps going around, right? It's like a merry-go-round. And by using these 60 Seconds to Serenity tools, if you've been doing this, you will find that one by one, you've replaced the horses on that carousel, the ones that are those thoughts that are of frustration or anger or disappointment or sadness. As you take those out and then you replace it with a new one, right? We've been putting these new ones in there. You will find that at what spins around in your mind when you physically are doing things like breathing. See how I tied this to something? You'll always be breathing, right? So we're putting that carousel, building this, creating your carousel of thought by tying it into all these physical things that you're doing. And your gratitude list, right? Gratitude list. As you're doing that, as you're doing these exercises, the carousel is filled with happiness and positive, empowering statements for you, for you. And the point of that is that as you work on doing that for yourself, and you start to maintain this super high vibration, you become part of the concentric ring going out of you that everybody else gets to experience. Thank you. Thank you very much for doing that, for taking the time to improve your vibration and keeping it up high. Thank you for doing that, because that concentric ring is coming out of you. And then your things like your interaction on social media, you see that post that you say, "What? I can't believe that person said that," and you say, "Oh, somewhere else I need to go to my timeline and post my positive affirmation." You know, instead of being the reactive person to whatever somebody else who's spinning on a carousel of reacting to things, right? Instead of participating in that, you say, actually, I could allow the concentric ring of peace, love, and joy and positive affirmation to come out of me. So if this is all kind of like a whole lot and new to you because you've just tuned into a couple of these 60 Seconds to Serenity all the way back to October, or more videos, so go over there and check them out. I realized I was going to hop off, but I love sharing this because I know how much of a difference it makes to everybody that tunes in and shares this. Anybody who shares this with somebody else, you're totally empowering their life by doing that. So the sun is breaking the horizon, and I feel that sun on my face. I haven't been. If you go back through these, you'll notice that this is the first time in all of these 60 Seconds to Serenity where the sun has broken the horizon here at the Guitar Castle in Washington, D.C. And that sun is just beaming. And that's nice because it's freezing cold outside, which makes for a nice walk, but certainly not a bike ride because it's too icy. So walking slowly in sunshine like this, pretty amazing, just for the effect, right? I can move in, but that sun is connecting to my face in a very cool way. And I guess that's a sign that I need to get moving outside. I've been on longer than I anticipated. But it's also because there's a change in the time, right? Good morning. I see more people hopped on. I'm hopping off because it's time for me to get out there in that nice, cold, crisp air and enjoy what it does for my cells in my body, waking me up. That's actually a very healthy thing. I can talk about that later. That people go into the deep freeze. They pay a lot of money to go into a deep freeze. And actually, somebody said that to me the other day, like, "Oh, I'm going into the deep freeze thing." And I said, "Why don't you just dip outside for a little bit? Nature." I just realized I should have invited them over and say, "Well, I've got one of those at my house," and invited them over here and said, "Look, it's I know it's not that high price that you were going to pay. It's less, and so give me the money, and then here, step out my back door into the Guitar Castle patio and enjoy this crisp, cold air, and I'll keep the door closed so you can't get back in until you're completely frozen, and then I'll let you come back in, and then you've done your treatment." Actually, it's probably not the right way to do it, but I'm going out for a cold walk, brisk walk, before I come back in and do my studying and work on more things to share with the 60 Seconds to Serenity. I hope you've enjoyed the program that I've been doing since October, and please feel free to share this. Peace, love, music, listen to some music. I didn't even get to, I played the chimes earlier, right? I'll send you off with chimes, and then